at me and quit acting like you're disgusted. I'm about to pull my curtain down, act like I'm on the radio, and let you have it. You're tempting me not to preach with you, but to you all of a sudden. And some of you preachers reach over and ask your wife if it's okay for you to listen. I did not believe in the hyper-dispensationalism as young Jack Hyles. I believe that Adam got saved by faith, and Eve got saved by faith, and Noah got saved by faith, Abraham got saved by faith, and everybody who ever gets saved, ever has been saved, ever is saved, everybody goes to heaven and get there because they put their faith in Jesus. That's what the young Jack Hyles believed, and that's what the old Jack Hyles believed. I noticed the young Jack Hyles believed in the virgin birth, the sinless life, the vicarious death, the bodily resurrection. Young Jack Hyles didn't believe in hyper-Calvinism, but that whosoever will could come. So the old Jack Hyles does. Young Jack Hyles didn't belong to ministerial assassination, and the old Jack Hyles doesn't belong to it. Oh, but you say, Pastor, you now belong to you pastor of the First Baptist Church. Yeah? And if I ever joined a ministerial association, it'd be the last Baptist church in town, too. You say, Brother Hyles, you haven't mellowed when you got older. I checked the word mellow in the dictionary. It means fully ripe, nearly rotten. I checked it this morning. That's what it means. Some of you guys have mellowed. You haven't mellowed, you've yellowed. I copied the young Jack Hyles in his preaching to this day. That man that stood here yesterday, the first convert I ever had, Johnny Mark Gray. I had not seen him for years until about a year or two ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I was preaching. I think it was out east. Guy walked up and said, "You know who I am?" I said, "No, I don't." He said, "I'm Johnny Mark Gray." I couldn't believe it. My first convert. Mr. Gray, Johnny Mark to me, but Mr. Gray, he looked at me and he said, "I wouldn't have recognized you if I'd have seen you, Brother Hyles." But he said, "If I'd closed my eyes and listened to you preach, I thought I was sitting in the Grange Hall Baptist Church 40 some odd years ago." I walked over one day, one of my secretaries was typing, a lady was typing one of my sermons that I'd preached many, many years ago. As she was typing, tears were falling onto the keyboard, onto the typing keys. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I'm typing one of your older sermons when you're young." She said, "I'd have thought it's sort of like the one you preached last Sunday." She said, "Your preaching is just like it used to be." Not only that, I copied the young Jack Hyles in his preaching. I copied the young Jack Hyles in his Bible. I copied the young Jack Hyles in his doctrine. I copied the young Jack Hyles in his standards. Young Jack Hyles preached against tobacco, so does the old man. Young Jack Hyles preached against liquor, so does the old man. Young Jack Hyles preached against the movies. Boy, I got my wife last night for telling you where we went on our first date. Young Jack Hyles took his girlfriend to the movies, and last night the old Jack Hyles took his girlfriend to the movies. Young Jack Hyles preached against women wearing shorts in public, and so does the old man. Young Jack Hyles preached against mixed swimming, so does the old man. Young Jack Hyles preached against women wearing pants in public, and so does the old man. You say, "I knew you'd say that. I knew it. I didn't want to disappoint you." Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for... I'm saying, Paul said to Timothy, he said, you whip yourself in shape, and you decide what you believe while you're young, and you stick with it. And you decide your convictions while you're young, and you stick with it. And you decide how you preach while you're young, and you stick with it. He said, make yourself what you ought to be, and stick with it. Now, if you grow, get bigger in what you're doing instead of getting a bunch of extra garbage and stuff. I went to East Texas Baptist College, and the president was Dr. H.D. Bruce. By the way, a pretty decent man. And they had a singing group on the campus. And one of the songs they sang was Cigarettes, Whiskey, and Wild, Wild Women. I went to Dr. Bruce's office and expressed my opinion about it. I did that quite often while I was there. And several years passed, and I came here, and the church became the largest church in America. Dr. Bruce called me one day and said he'd like to have lunch with me. I met him at the Dallas, at the Mercantile Bank coffee shop in Dallas, Texas. And we sat there and ate a while, and he said, Dr. Hyles, he said, your college would like to honor you. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe they were going to honor me. And I said, Dr. Bruce, what do you mean? He said, like give you a doctor's degree. We'd like to have you speak on chapel for a week. Call it Jack Hyles Week. I almost fainted. I said, what's the catch? Well, he said, no catch, but he said, here's the only thing you'll have to do. He said, I know your position on some things. He said, you just can't mention these sins by name. Just let the folks that know you hate sin, but don't mention all these little things that you pick on all the time by name. I got up and said, good day. Walked away. I said, he shook his head, gave me one of the greatest compliments I've ever had. He said, same old Jack. Same old Jack. I copy his standards, I copy his doctrine, I copy his Bible, I copy his preaching, I copy his methods. Informal services, young Jack Hyles did, so does the old man. Personal soul winning, young Jack Hyles did, so does the old man. Old-fashioned preaching, young Jack Hyles did, so does the old man. Praising God, the young Jack Hyles did, so does the old man. I just thought I'd tell you that. Now let me give you some things young Jack Hyles did in the way of methods. First, I took time each Sunday at the Grange Hall Baptist Church, a little church in the country edge of town, to honor members who had birthdays that week. We invited the families to come. Families that belonged to the church and families that didn't belong to the church, made a big deal out of it. You see, we didn't have any prospects. We took a census. We found 7 prospects. We had no prospects. We had to dig them out. So every time I could have any kind of a service that honored somebody in a very special way, I'd do it, because that's when their parents and grandparents and cousins and uncles and aunts come, and we'd get some prospects every Sunday. We'd have the person stand. It was their birthday. We'd have them come down to the front. We'd sing happy birthday to them. I'd give them some little gift and say a word about them. And now we couldn't do that now. Good night. We had everybody had a birthday last week in our church. We'd have 1,000 people down here, and we couldn't do that.